Hey, everybody. This is Tim Peck. I'm here with Sarah Blessing, my co founder, on Project Next. At Project Next, we are trying to cure Indiana, Southern Indiana, and well beyond into the rest of the nation of its fear and its hate and the division that is making it so that we can't cooperate, even if our ideologies are not the same. And so today we are going to talk about Medicaid, the big, beautiful bill, healthcare. What's going to happen now that this big, beautiful bill is passed? Sarah Blessing, how are you today? And what do you know about this bill?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on. I've missed you, Tim. We both took a different vacation, so it's nice to do a show with you. This happened while I was doing a show with Corinne live. She got a bunch of text messages and alerts saying this had passed, and just kind of this sinking feeling of, oh no, there's a bunch of things in here. And my number one concern is I'm worried about Harrison County Hospital. We only have one hospital in my county, which is a very big county that serves a lot of people. And I'm just worried in a few years, is this hospital going to have to shut down now because of this bill that was passed? And then what is in it? Is there anything good? When is it going to come into effect? I have a lot of questions.
Yeah. Well, and you're rightfully concerned about Harrison Hospital. The other two in our area of Southeast Indiana, of Indiana 9 congressional district, are Salem and North Vernon in Jennings County. Those three are going to get hit hard, and we're going to say about why that is. So if you live in Jennings County, if you live in Washington County, if you live in Harrison County, you're one of the people who may not have a hospital coming up in a few years here. All through out Indiana, there are hospitals on the line. We can post in the comments where you can find if your hospital is on the line or not. And not only Indiana, but all through the Midwest and the country, hospitals are disappearing anyway, especially in our rural areas. This is just going to throw some of us overboard. So,
Yeah.
do you rely on Harrison Hospital? Is it something that you, your friends, your family are part of your life?
I do not go there. I go to Baptist Floyd normally, or Norton in Louisville. But a lot of my friends and a lot of the people around here rely on that hospital.
Right.
Especially if like you're going to need to call 911, that's where they're going to take you. That's the
Sure.
closest hospital. So that hospital and the Salem Hospital are the two closest hospitals to where I live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's a good point about 911 because there's a law on the books, and it's been federal law for a long time called MTALA. Stands for Emergency Medicine. I'm gonna get it wrong. The idea is that it protects the ability for anyone to show up to a hospital at any time and be treated, no matter who you are, color of your skin, what it is to be, if you can pay for it or not, which is probably the most controversial and best part of it at the same time.
Right.
Uh, so that allows you to be treated anywhere. So it's important to have hospitals in our areas that are supported in some way to stay open, to keep its ability to serve patients no matter what. So even if they can't afford, even that hospital can't necessarily afford to treat patients, we need to find ways to keep them open, not cut out from under them
I
the
personally want like since our health insurance is mainly tied to where we work, and we sometimes don't have control over that, whether we get fired or not, or the company makes layoffs or whatever.
Mhm.
I would hope that if an accident happened, anybody, regardless of whether they had insurance, could go to the closest hospital and get care to stay alive. and
Yep.
and I, I'm okay with paying some of my tax dollars to go towards a child that doesn't have health insurance, that was in a car accident, to get care.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
So you're hitting on the very big piece about the big beautiful bill that we need to talk about. At
Okay.
a high level, lots of people won't have Medicaid anymore. That's not the worst of it, believe it or not. It's the people because there's less money going into certain hospitals, physician groups, nursing homes, other places that depend on Medicaid. Those hospitals now will either need to find that money somewhere. And so they will need to cut costs in order to um, keep their costs down. And so that means they need to start getting rid of certain services.
So they're going to get rid of services that really benefit people, I would imagine, the ones that maybe provide rides for people that can't get there, or preventative care, or something to prevent people from getting sick. I would bet those would be some of the first things to be cut.
Some of the first things to be cut exactly are those that are really helping people get to the hospital, helping people in the parts of their care that's outside of the immediate what we think of as care, as a doctor touching a patient. Not only that, but it's just basic services like security. Hospitals, and there are hospitals in our district and throughout Indiana 9, especially in rural areas, that do not have security guards. And what that means, if someone comes into the emergency department with a gun, if someone has a behavioral emergency, meaning someone is, on drugs, yes, but also just sick and therefore delirious and
Right.
lost control, or having a psychiatric emergency of
Older people with UTIs, that really affects their mental health. They're
of,
sweet
of
people, but they're
all the
not
time.
thinking straight. Yeah.
And so, if it's dangerous to a nurse or someone to have to deal with that patient, now you're calling 911 to get the cops and the police over to the hospital to take care of that, taking those police away from something that who knows that they should be doing otherwise, right? And so that is an enormous problem. Exists today, and I'll put it on the line. Hospital in North Vernon and Jennings County um, does not have security today. Yeah.
Wow.
And
And then make
a lot of these places don't have security 24/7 and have to call 911 sometimes.
Yeah, which would be even more expensive, right? I mean,
Right, for
the
for the
bill would be
taxpayer.
way more than paying for the security guard.
For the taxpayer, for sure. It's
Right.
just doesn't make sense, right? There's not a lot of forethought in this bill about what it's going to do, right? It's nice talking points for many people, mostly Republicans, to talk about how they are cutting, 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 and trying to save money, getting rid of waste in different ways. But this stuff isn't waste; it's investments that also keep costs down as a whole. It is fiscally responsible to have Americans be healthy. It is
Right.
very expensive in this country for taxpayers and individuals to not be healthy.
It
And
is.
so,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's cheaper for people to get preventative care and to stop terrible problems from happening that would then cost so much money, but also make the person's life a lot more miserable. So it's the empathetic thing to do, and it saves money to help people stay healthy longer. And they're always just saying there's all this extra waste. People are skimming from the top and they're taking money. These greedy hospitals, they're always just like accusing hospitals of being terrible, and they don't actually look at the facts and like the data. It's like, where's the science in this bill? That's what I'm missing. It's just accusatory people spending, you
yeah,
know?
yeah. Where's the economic science? And it exists, right? And in this case, it existed. It's called the Congressional Budget Office, which is a nonpartisan office with people that are hired by Congress. So this Congress is under the control, both in the Senate and the House, by Republicans that score the bills, that it's called. They grade the bills. They look at it and say, how much is this going to cost? How much is this going to spend? How much debt will this put us in? Or how much debt will this save? And this bill just drives us trillions of dollars into debt while also cutting services. So try to get your mind around that. It's going to put us further into debt while also cutting services.
So
So cutting
so it
doesn't
doesn't
pay.
do anything that they say that's going to do. They say it's going to save us tons of money, but really it's going to cost us more money, and then people lose services.
That's correct.
Yeah. Yeah, I knew it was bad, but yeah, this is sad.
Yeah. And remember, this means, and what people will see is that your hospital will have to figure out how to get the money that they are going to lose because many people are going to be dropped off the Medicaid enrollments. They will have to figure out how to get that money, and they will either have to fundraise in some way or they will have to cut services.
So
And those hospitals that are existing on a thin margin right now, or even some of them on a negative margin, will not survive this. And that's how we get the which hospitals are going to close or very likely going to close is based off of their margins today versus the amount of Medicaid people they have coming to their hospital today and how much revenue they get off of that. And so subtract out those people that aren't there, look at their margins, they're negative. How long can you stay open like that?
okay, so that is what I thought it was. So there'll be fewer people on Medicaid, and the rural hospitals are making money off of these patients on Medicaid. And since it will be this many fewer, you do the math, and the hospital doesn't have enough money to stay open.
That's right. And the person who really put this report out and really pushed on it pretty hard to show which hospitals will be at risk and really talking about how many patients and people will not have Medicaid was actually Republican Tom Tillis from North Carolina, who we've talked about before on this show because his ideology might be a bit different than yours or mine and it is different. It's more conservative. However, he is all about cooperation, right? And so those two things are independent, right? They're not the same. Like you can have a different ideology than me, you can still cooperate with me.
That's
Vice
what I
versa.
wish was happening. I really had hope that this bill wasn't going to pass. I really hoped people would walk across the aisle and say, "Look, this is going to hurt your people in your district. It's
Yeah.
going to hurt them." And that they would
Tom
stand
Tillis,
together and say no.
Tom Tillis, Susan Collins, these are people that did that. They said, I can't make this happen. The people in my state are going to get wrecked by it. The businesses, the healthcare businesses in my state will get wrecked by this, right? It's an economic argument as well for
And we
growth
have
and creation
Humana.
of
We have
jobs.
Humana down here in Louisville. A lot of people I know work for Humana, and I don't know what that's going to happen because they mainly do Medicaid, I think.
They do Medicare Advantage, they do Medicaid, they
Medicare.
do private
Yeah.
insurance as well, but they do have a large Medicaid program, and it'll hurt them. It'll hurt them for sure, and there'll be programs that are no longer
So
necessary.
so this bill will also be hurting private businesses, which
Hmm.
the Republicans claim to be supporting so much. So
Right.
that doesn't make sense either.
It does not make sense. And so I just want to point this out that there were five Republicans in the House and the Senate who did not vote for this bill. Right? They exist. And I want to talk about Tom Tillis for a second, who's a
Sure.
Republican who did not vote for this bill. He sang it from the rooftops as much as he could, had a private meeting with the Republican caucus in the Senate and showed them the numbers and put it in black and white of saying, this is what this is going to do. Do any of you expect to really get reelected if you're going to take all these people's Medicaid away? But that it's not just about taking some people's Medicaid away. And we're going to talk about those who are now have work requirements and others. Not just about taking those people's Medicaid. It's about the secondary effect of taking people's access to healthcare in general away as hospitals in rural areas close.
Right.
Um, it's just the reality that this bill is doing. So he voted against it, and he immediately dropped out and said, "I'm not going to run next time."
Oh, man.
Because Donald Trump and the Republican leadership said, we're going to primary you because of this. And
And
they
that doesn't
threatened him.
mean that they'll win. I mean,
Oh, it means they'll have much. North Carolina's purple, right? These
yeah.
elections for statewide elections are happening plus minus 2, 3, 1 point at this point for the Republicans and Democrats who win. So if they elect someone who is far, far right in their primary, they're not going to win a general election in North Carolina. So it's funny. It's a spite. You're spiting yourself.
Yeah, so it'll probably hopefully help get a Democrat elected that hopefully supports these programs.
And it'll probably be a more moderate Democrat because a more moderate Democrat will likely win a primary in North Carolina. Not necessarily. And when I say moderate, these days, a lot of people ask me, what does moderate really mean? For me, I'll get back to this. There's ideology and there's cooperation. Ideology is about what do you believe in terms of policy? Where do you believe we should go as a country in 5, 10, 20 years? Where do you think we should be now? What should we be doing with our dollars? What should we be doing with our time? That's around ideology in many ways. But there's also the level of cooperation. Do we believe that we should cooperate, approach, talk to other people across the aisle, work with them, find things that we can work with to make progress in this country? And I think those people who are working and say, okay, I'll work with anybody, even if their ideology is different than mine, because my job is to represent the people who I work for, the constituents who not only voted for me, but those who didn't vote for me. Those are the people. Those are the people who I'm really respecting right now in this world with ideologies being so different.
Right. And normally that's who you vote for. You kind of look at which candidate has the most ideology that supports your own views. But we have seen a divide of that, and it's just whatever the right or the left says goes instead of individual people representing their own districts and what their people need. Because if Erin Houchin, who is our congresswoman in District 9, if she really cared about Harrison County and about Washington County and about Jennings County, she would have voted no for this. And she would have said proudly, I need to do what's best for the people that are voting for me in office.
Yep.
But instead, Tim, I don't know whether it was a month or two before the election, she went and visited Harrison County Hospital, and
Yep.
she took a photo op with a couple of my Republican friends, one of which is the CEO of the hospital, and they blasted it all over Republican social media,
Yep.
looking like she supports this hospital, when
Yeah.
she
We should
might
talk.
be one
I
of the
mean, you
reasons
should
that
talk
it
to them now.
closes.
Talk to them now and see what they're thinking about her. Right? She did. She made that photo op and
I'm
then
gonna
really.
send this episode to my friends I'm gonna text this episode to them, and then I'm gonna ask them if they realize this is happening. Um,
I mean, the CEO of Harrison County knows very well that her hospital's on the line right now. There's a site I'm looking at right now. It's called bridgegrades.org. Bridge, like bridge across the aisle, grades.org. And what it does is gives people a grade based off of how well they work across the aisle.
oh yes.
Independent, again, if they are liberal or not, that doesn't matter, or a
Just
conservative.
do they go across the aisle and try to compromise, which is
Yep.
what the country has been screaming for a while now. We want that.
And they have a whole bunch of data points around making why this happens, how they measure it. And it's pretty even between Democrats and Republicans who they give good grades to. And what do you think Erin Houchin got on ADAF?
I don't think she's gonna do very well because I just can't. My friends that go down to DC to try to talk to her, they fly to DC, they get an appointment, they go to the office to meet her, and she doesn't show up. So I'm guessing she's not talking to Democrats across the aisle either. So I'm gonna say low,
Yeah.
bad D. I'll guess D. What'd she get?
F.
Ugh.
Yeah.
And this is nonpartisan that did this study.
This is a nonpartisan group who put this together, and you can prove it that it's nonpartisan because they gave AOC an F as well, just as an example. So they're not uber liberal or uber conservative one way or another.
They're trying to encourage our people that we've elected to talk to each other and compromise to pass legislation that actually helps us instead of stuff like this that hurts the majority of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And their last grades are all from last Congress. And so I'll give you Indiana's grades from last Congress. It says that they're going to be putting out this Congress's grades shortly, next month sometime, it looks like. But last Congress, so Frank Mervan, who's Democrat, got a C. Rudy Yakum, who's a Republican, got a C. Jim Banks, who's now our senator, got an F, like a real F, a hard F. James
That guy's
Baird.
so divisive.
I know. James Baird got a C. Victoria Sparks got a C. Greg Pence, who retired, got a C. Andre Carson got a C. Larry Bouchon, who's known to be someone who worked across the aisle pretty often, got a B. Aaron Houchin got an F. So
Wow. So Aaron Houchin and Jim Banks get the worst, and they do
yes,
seem
that's
to
right.
be
Aaron
very
Houchin and Jim Beggs.
Aaron Houchin doesn't like openly shout like she's divisive. She's not like putting stuff out like Banks is about, negative things. She's just quietly voting however she's
Well,
dictated to vote, is
this
what it seems like
Epstein,
to me.
I mean, she hasn't been on the national stage very much, but she is now, right? This last week and a half, she's finally gotten to the national stage, and she got on the national stage for a pretty bad reason. She first was a vote to silence and bury a uh, uh, a motion to have the Epstein files be released. So it didn't even get out of committee there because she buried it. And then a few days later, after all the backlash from her constituents, who said, "What are you doing? Why are you voting against our interests? Of course, we need to see those." She then introduced a resolution saying they should have the Epstein files go through, and so the
That's the first time I've heard her actually like listen to the voters though.
oh yeah, okay, all right,
I
yeah,
mean, I'm kind of
I'll give you
surprised
that.
that she did something.
Sure, I'll give you that.
So,
I'll give you that. I think it's much more. It's the first time that maybe the voters really got on her
because this is
for
a
saying,
big
mhm,
right issue. This is
"Yep,
a big conspiracy theory backed with a lot of proof. This horrible man and all these powerful people hurting young people. I mean, it really happened.
yeah." I I would say this is the first time she's really listening, seeing that her own party and her own side would she's jeopardizing the votes that exist within. And she has probably bigger things in mind beyond Indiana 9 too. So she needs to keep that reputation tight. So this is the
Yeah.
first time she's on the national stage, and not for a good thing. The headlines have not been good.
Yeah. I wonder how much time she actually just listens to the people down here because I know you tried to get a hold of her. You can't.
Yeah, yeah.
But, okay, so let's talk Medicaid. I want to know who may lose their health insurance because of this bill. And then the second question after that is when is this stuff going to go into effect?
Okay. So the first pocket of people that are going to lose Medicaid are just everyday people who are below the poverty line, who don't fill out their paperwork fast enough, well enough, quick enough.
So they're
Uh,
making the requirements to file for Medicaid shorter and harder and harder, so not as many people will fill them out?
More red tape, more paperwork. You have to fill out certain forms twice a year now. Um,
Wow. I
uh,
mean, more than once a year doesn't make any sense to me.
no, that has a lot to do. The twice a year has a lot to do with work requirements, which we'll talk about. Which is you need to fix the branding there, but yeah, because it just doesn't really mean what it means. So the twice a year, and then they are moving the enrollment time, meaning when you need your paperwork in, up a month. So it'll, instead of January, it'll happen in December, and a whole lot of people are just going to miss
Because
enrollment.
they're not going to know that. They're just going to assume it's going to be the same. I
Right.
mean, is our government going to send out a bunch of notifications telling people that it's going to be a month early?
That's up to CMS, to the part of the executive branch that dictates that administers Medicare and Medicaid, and so
So
that's under
we'll
the
need to
executive
wait.
branch. But
So
yeah.
we'll have to wait and see. Are they going to alert people that the date has moved up a month?
Yeah.
Okay.
Unfortunately, we'll have to wait a little while because all of this won't go into effect until after next election in December or so. Um, but also, unfortunately, it seems quite purposeful to bury this bad thing for people to be right after the election,
So
next
then
election.
if Democrats get a blue wave or something, and then this bill comes into effect, they can act like it's the Democrats' fault? I mean, is there a chance they'll
I
do
mean,
that?
that's one way. I think the other thing here is they don't want voters to lose their Medicaid and then vote, right? So they're not going to lose their Medicaid till after they vote.
And a lot of the voters probably won't know they're about to lose their insurance.
So
Yeah.
it'll be the Democrats will need to do a very good job of mobilizing and making sure that people know, but also believe them and believe the facts that they are going to lose their Medicaid, which is, means you have to trust the Democratic Party. And there's been a lot of distrust of the Democratic Party, rightfully so, and both by Democrats themselves
Yeah.
as well as Republicans, but
Yeah.
voters. So
I think
um,
it's almost better coming from non-profits and bipartisan groups shouting from the rooftop, this is going to hurt people, because there are a lot of groups out there fighting for everyday hardworking Americans, and it's just, do they have a loud enough voice to get the information out is the question, because we're all fighting for attention.
and there's a lot of advocacy groups out there, a lot of academic societies, a lot of, I'm a member of the ISMA, the Indiana State Medical Association, which is the local state level part of the AMA, the American Medical Association. I'm a member of ACEP, which is the American College of Emergency Physicians. All these groups know that this bill is going to be hurtful. And, speaking to some ACEP people, and they couldn't believe it when people that they have supported, where they've paid with their PAC and supported them through their elections, voted against this bill, especially for emergency doctors who, our patients, we have to treat them no matter what. When
You
they
mean they
come,
voted for the bill, not against the bill?
that voted for the bill, excuse me, that
Yeah,
voted
you
for the
just
bill,
sure.
excuse me. Yeah, yeah. They
Yeah.
voted for making cuts, right? So, yeah.
Right. Yeah, it is shocking. That's where I really just see the problem. The people we are electing to serve us are not serving us anymore. I think we've kind of been aware of that for a while, but I think it's escalated because this is very unpopular against most people that are aware of what's going on. And yet it's still passed. It really helps magnify the problem of our two-party system, the way we have our primaries, the way people are voting in the most extreme
Yeah.
people, and then they're not listening to the regular everyday people that
Yeah.
don't want the division and want compromise and want
I mean,
it.
Republicans had to drop out and not run next time in order to support, in order to be against this bill, right? So Tom Tillis is no longer going to run for Congress. Bacon out of Nebraska, who represents Omaha, which is a district that voted for Harris, but voted in a Republican who's been there many years. He's a conservative because, again, his ideology may be conservative, but he's shown over and over again that he is willing to work with people on the other side of the aisle. And that's very much respected because it's rare. It's a unicorn these days. And so he's been getting in, even though that district has been turning more and more blue. And he's not going to run either. He
That's
knows
so
he's going to
sad.
be very hard. Yep. Yep.
So if we don't change things, it's just going to keep getting more extreme. So okay, so we know this is going to happen after the next election. So
Mhm.
after November 2026, we know people are going to not know that their deadline has moved up to apply for Medicaid a month early, and now they have to do it twice a year. So that's going to hurt. And then that's going to cause rural hospitals, especially, to close down because they're not getting enough money from Medicaid to support their hospital.
Yep.
And then we know there's going to be lots of cuts before they close down on programs that help keep us healthy.
That's right.
What
OBGYN programs being already at risk. We've lost
we've
14
already
across
lost that
Indiana
here. Yeah, how
and
many did you say? Sorry, I interrupted you. 13?
14 across
14?
Indiana over the last few years. Or, and Harrison County being the latest to lose its OBGYN program.
Well,
And
I can we talk about that for just a second since I'm
I
a
just want,
woman?
yeah,
It's
I was
actually
going to
bothered me. I
frame it.
lost my OBGYN when we lost our healthcare rights in Indiana. She just
Yeah.
moved. She plain out just moved and worked someplace else.
That's right.
Um, and I have heard, because I've been talking to the Harrison County Hospital on social media, I've been asking, are you all searching for OBGYN? Are you doing this? They're putting sponsored ads out. I have heard it is very hard in Indiana rural hospitals to hire OBGYNs. They can't find any who want to live here and work because of our law that about women's health care.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it underscores the misunderstanding of what these abortion bans do, right? People, the way it's sold to the public often is like, we're stopping abortion being used as birth control and things of that nature. It's not what's happening. It's stopping the doctor from having a free conversation with the woman about her pregnancy and about her own health and about what should happen next. That conversation has nothing to do with the government. And as a doctor who's had that conversation so many times, to have the government in the back of my mind while I'm having an
Are
intimate,
you going to get in trouble? Are you going to lose your license? Are you going to go to jail
and it
for
stops me
just
from even
trying?
saying the things I need to say,
Right.
to have a full history and physical done, to have a full conversation with the person, all their treatment options, understand the medicine behind it, because you have to stop short of saying certain things.
Yeah. And I am a woman I've almost died in childbirth. I had a miscarriage a few months before I got pregnant with the twins. And my doctor that I love very much that left now, she's the one that had the conversation with me to keep me alive. I could go and get medicine. And it was very painful enough just having that miscarriage.
Yep.
And because it was a late term one. And then with I have twins now, but it was triplets, and one didn't make it very late, week 29. She didn't make it. And I had so many conversations I had like a team of like 12 doctors, Tim, because it was such a high risk pregnancy. I had a series of conversations. And I had tours. They gave me special tours of the hospital to help me with what kind of decisions I wanted to make if my baby was born and was very small and would have all these problems. And I think today, what would happen to me had I had that pregnancy that I had in 2018? What would happen if I'd had that now? And I don't know. So
I mean, where did you have that child?
I was at I had the first thing in Indiana, the miscarriage, and then when I had the first ultrasound and we discovered triplets in Indiana, I immediately had to go to Norton's Healthcare to go to a team of specialists
Sure.
because I had such a high risk pregnancy. So then it was in Louisville.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean, what happened now is there's just less OBGYN around here.
A lot less is what I'm saying. A lot less
Yeah, a
OBGYN
lot less. I
around
mean,
here.
whole
Yeah.
departments have been cut. It's not a fallacy, fake. Is no OBGYN in Harrison County right now, right?
I'm like, what's happening to these women that are going into pregnancy complications and they call 911 and they go to the Harrison County Hospital? What's happening to them? I
So I
imagine.
see them as an emergency physician.
So ER doctor sees
I
them.
have to stabilize them, but I have to always decide on the fetus's health over the mother's, right?
That didn't used to be the case, but now it is.
No, that's not the case. You have to decide, you have to think about the whole situation. Can we, if an abortion needs to happen in that moment in order to save the mother, you do it. Supposedly, the Indiana law is written so poorly, it's so vague, it's so misunderstood. So the first thing that's going to happen is a call to the lawyers for the hospital.
But what if it's at the middle of the night?
Well, there's a lawyer on call supposedly everywhere to call. And so you call, and I, as a doctor, if I'm calling that lawyer, they're representing the hospital, not me. Right. And so they're what they are beholden to are a bit different than me. So
You're wanting to keep your patients alive.
That's right. They want to protect their reputation, their business, their ability to continue to do, I don't mean it all evil. They want to continue to do business.
They don't want to get sued by the Indiana government, which we've seen can happen.
and have retribution against them, right? Which we see happening in politics right now too. And so that means those decisions now are going to be made with a lawyer because of the government. So this is what I mean by the government being in the decision.
Yeah, it shouldn't be in there. You should just, as the ER doctor, you should just be saving your patients, doing everything. You shouldn't take time out of that emergency situation to call a lawyer. That's
Yep.
crazy to me.
Yep.
Um, and I don't think a lot of people get it until it happens to them or a loved one. I don't
Sure.
think they fully understand because there's a lot of misinformation. There's a lot of propaganda about just saving babies, and they don't get that it is very dangerous as a
And
woman to have children.
And so now, yeah, that patient's going to try to be stabilized and then get a helicopter in to get him out to Louisville in this case.
That's going to be
Up there.
expensive. Helicopter rides.
Yep. Just even more.
It
So,
seems like it would be a lot cheaper to have OBGYN care at your local hospital. I don't know, just throwing it out there.
yeah, it's the lack of foresight of what all this does as a trickle down effect, right? It's even not a trickle. It's just the next level, right? The next thing that happens. And these decisions aren't being made with patient provider interactions in mind, right? They're just being made based off of ideology, good messaging for their party or the other. It just doesn't make sense.
Okay, so let's
So
like try to.
you asked how, who else would be cut off of Medicaid, right? So
Right,
I'm
right.
talking about everyday people who can't do the paperwork. There's also people who are now going to have what are called work requirements.
Oh, okay.
All right. And so work requirements are you have to be working at least 20 hours a week or volunteering at least 20 hours a week in order to qualify for Medicaid. And these are the people who need to put in their reports twice a year to make sure that they are working.
But what if they're seniors or disabled, or like work is very hard for them, or what if they don't have a car and they can't get to work? Like what about people that, like, not everybody can work?
Right. So seniors are
That's
not
good.
part of this, but you still have
Okay.
to fill out the paperwork to make sure that
Okay.
that's the case, right?
Okay.
Um, people who are struggling to get to work for one reason or another, uh, they are certainly on it, right? That's not an excuse for this to happen in this new way of thinking about Medicaid. So it's you have to put going to work above all other things in your life at a time of your life that may or may not be what you should be doing that's right for you. So you're going to need to make the choice between keeping your healthcare insurance or maybe a family member's health
But
or
does like being a stay-at-home mom count as work?
no, no, it
Because
does
that's
not.
a lot of work.
Yeah, it's a ton of work. It's a ton of but having children up to a certain age can, but yes, but it's in general, um, if you are uh, a parent, only one parent can qualify for the waiver, essentially. And again,
So it's just a lot more paperwork
yeah,
is
and
what
then you're going to
it's
put the paperwork in twice
okay.
a year, and then you are going to have an efficient government review that and make the right decision for you, right? So Georgia has put some work requirements in. The website is terrible. It fails. It people can't seem to use it. Many people have, especially on the volunteer question, a lot of people have been denied, saying this doesn't work or this isn't work. But the whole thing is like some of it isn't work. It's volunteerism, right? And so you're relying on the efficiency of government, and we all know what that means. So yeah,
So more
lots of
paperwork,
people-
more relying on the government, which is not proving to be very efficient. It seems like it could be done. Like if you're concerned, if you're on Medicaid and you're watching this, if you stay on top of it and you work super hard, you can keep your Medicaid. But for a lot of the population that do not have time, or they're just trying to survive and pay their bills and stay housed, they might not have the resources to spend that much time to fight for their continuation of Medicaid. So that's why it's going
Or
to be
what
fewer
we
people.
call health literacy, or just understanding of,
I don't understand all the paperwork. It makes me stressed out when I have to fill out that stuff.
yeah, it's hard. It's hard.
Yeah.
It makes me
I got
stressed.
I've
I
got a
hate
really great
paperwork.
quote from Bryce I wanted to pull up from YouTube. He said, Indiana Medicaid seems to try to kick my adult autistic brother off of Medicaid every year who cannot work nor hold a job. They tried to take away again this month because of bank account changes. So,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
perfect. Bank account changes, right? It's those kind of small things that are going to happen that once you miss your turn to enroll,
it's
now
very
you're
hard.
now you're on the phone and you're signing petitions, and you're going to visit people at an office, and just and all of a sudden it's 6 months later and you're up for the next paperwork anyway. So
And it sounds like Bryce's brother, he can't work nor fill out this paperwork himself. So, it's good that he has family doing this, but even with them spending all this time, it's extremely difficult and stressful for them. And they're already taking care of,
right,
their family member. And you would think we should be doing things to help Bryce and his family,
and this is the whole
not make it
idea.
more stressful for them.
It's even more, is healthcare really something that we have to earn?
Yeah, it seems like we're very revenge oriented in America. Like that seems to be a big problem with our culture in my opinion. If people don't work hard enough, they don't deserve it. And I just it's like where's the empathy in that? Where's the we're all struggling, none of us are perfect. We're doing our best. Where's the empathy in taking care of people when they're sick or have an accident or whatever? Like
Yeah. And so the proof is in Arkansas. So this program was put in Arkansas first. And really, Arkansas and Georgia are the only places that have work requirements. And in Arkansas, um, what happened is they put the work requirement in. 18,000 people lost their jobs, lost their health care, excuse me, and employment did not go up. So when you take people and you take them away and you have them, that you lose your job, now you're in a position where you're trying to find a job, or whatever life thing happened to you that made you lose your job, you're taken care of. And now you have no health care coverage. So you're going to get sick. And when you're sick, you can't get a job, right? So it's just, you're just pushing people into poverty, pushing people into poverty. Not only
And
that,
and
those
we just
people,
wanna put blinders on to people in poverty. We don't wanna look at them or think about them, but we're putting more people in that bracket. It's
and this is
maddening to
what I
me.
mean by, if America is unhealthy, it costs America more. If individuals are unhealthy, it costs America more. If you have unhealthy people and you can't get them healthy, they can't work. They can't pay taxes. They need more services that they'll get from
No matter how
supports.
much you try to force them to work so many days, if they're too sick to work, they can't work.
Right. And if they do go to the emergency department, which again, there is a law called EMTALA where I cannot turn them away, nor do I want to, but I cannot turn them away even if I wanted to. And I have to treat them, and I treat them now, and they don't have a way to pay for healthcare. What happens? I'm not getting that money. No one's paying me that money. But that person's going into debt. They're losing their credit. And now they're in extreme medical debt, which medical debt is an enormous problem in this country.
It's mostly like GoFundMe's are mostly medical debt stuff.
Yeah, it used to be put a quarter in this coffee jar at the local convenience store. Now it's GoFundMe, but it's the same concept. I'm in medical debt. I can't get out of it. Help me do
Yeah.
this. It's ruining my life. And
My
so,
my favorite caterers, they told me that's why they're doing this is to pay off their medical debt. They should be in retirement.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, and retirement medical debt is just the double hit of, oh man, we created a system in America where you can't retire and be not have to work again. right? Like we talk about
And it's
retirement. No.
already hard to get on Medicaid. Like like I'm going through this talking about stuff with my parents who are in their 70s, and we were told by experts, plan a year before you're going to need Medicaid, plan a year to fill out the paperwork. And this is before this bill passed, so it might be longer or harder or whatever now. It's already very hard to get on Medicaid. My aunt did it for my grandma before she passed away, and it was the biggest deal when it happened.
Yeah.
So it's not like it was easy before.
Hmm. Right. You're just making it harder. It's
We're just
certainly
making
not.
it harder. Yeah,
It's
yeah,
certainly not easy.
yeah.
And so many people come into the emergency department. I can tell you this anecdotally from treating people over and over again who thought they have Medicaid, but they don't because they've been
Oh,
disenrolled for one reason or another. Then you have to file for emergency Medicaid, which is a problem. And this is the thing that people who are in this country, not in a legal way, call it illegally, call it undocumented, whatever you call it in your that makes you comfortable, uh, that those people are not getting Medicaid right now. And so there are absolute outright lies. Aaron Houchin had a Newsweek article, op-ed about it saying we're protecting people from illegal immigrants. Like those people don't get Medicaid right now. The only time someone who's undocumented gets Medicaid coverage is when they have an emergency and they are a um, woman who is pregnant. It's a tiny little slice, right? And so let's not pretend that millions of immigrants or undocumented immigrants are getting Medicaid and we're saving the world from that. That is just not true. That's not true, not true, not true.
I just see so much anger from the right at thinking people are getting medical help and they don't deserve it. And I just think that they don't I just think they're missing the whole picture. If they needed assistance, I'm okay with them getting assistance and staying alive.
Yeah.
I don't think they're really seeing. I don't think they're actually seeing the child in the car wreck that needs care. I
Mhm.
think that they are visioning evil people, bad
Yeah.
people, people that want to hurt them, and they're like, we shouldn't pay for them to get
Or
care.
lazy people is what you hear a
Lazy
lot.
people, oh, they're so big on the getting the lazy people. And it's just like, again, we got to care about people. And
Yeah.
I think they've been hurt. I really feel like a big part of this problem is their life has been hard, they have been hurt, and they think, well, if I'm being hurt, they should be hurt too, instead of how about your life get better and their life get better, instead
Mhm.
of, you know, it just,
So let
yeah.
me just say one other piece of policy because I know someone's going to call me on it and say, well, immigrants who are undocumented in California, they get health care from the state. And it's true that there is some health care coverage going to immigrants in California. That is not Medicaid.
Huh.
That is not the Medicaid program. That's California deciding as a state that they want to do that with state taxpayer money.
And they have a large population in that state.
They do. And just to say, that's state taxpayer money. That's a
So
state
so
decision.
only people in California, their state taxes are going for that, nothing from the federal
And that's
budget.
their decision, right? It's a state by
Yeah.
district. And we've
And
decided as a country at this point, and it keeps happening, that the states should have decisions over these very important things like abortion. All right. California decided that's how they're going to do it. It doesn't affect you in Indiana or
just if you live
Ohio
in California,
or
right?
Kentucky. It does not affect you. And so you can't have, both sides of your bread buttered. So that's an important part. There's also this a big bucket of money that some states rely on through a loophole. And we talked about this the first time we had a discussion on this before the bill was passed and when it was still being crafted. And I kind of liked this part of it at first, where this loophole was being closed, where certain states were using it to get paid more from Medicaid for the same services than another state. They do that for because the loophole exists and because they need the money essentially. They closed the loophole, but they didn't put a more sensible way in place to get Medicaid money that you might need to keep your hospitals open, right? So I thought in the beginning that we were going to put in
I
a
remember you talking about that.
yeah,
Yeah.
we're going to close the loophole. Great. Now we can put a transparent way of getting this money so we can account for it well, where all states can be eligible for it no matter what and be able to use this money to keep our hospitals open. Well, they closed the loophole, but then didn't replace it. So that's going to quote unquote save money for Medicaid. But it's true, Medicaid will pay less money. But again, we are going to pay for this in spades on the back end when our hospitals close, when people come to hospitals, even those that don't close, that can't pay their bills, where people are being put on work requirements that get unhealthy and therefore can't work. And now they're no longer a tax-paying part of our society. There, and again, if you're just tuning in right now, that's been shown so clearly to happen in the Arkansas program, which was the first and only real program to do this. Before now, it's going on the national stage, and Georgia just starting it, and it's really messing up as well. Like, this program is bad, no matter if you're a Republican or a Democrat or a nonpartisan. It's just bad for individuals, yes, but it's bad for taxpayers. It's bad for society. What are they thinking? And I have a lot of respect for those who differ in my ideology, stand up, but yet stand up for cooperating to make these things go, and voted against this bill from the other side of the aisle. And so, if I could say thank you to those people, I would. But also, as a caucus, the Republican caucus put it together that they'd pass these things, even if a couple people dropped off their the ability to vote for it. So
I really want to encourage Democrats to do more of what you're doing, Tim, because we have conversations where you say, well, what's the solution? How do we fix this? Instead of just saying, look at what the other side did. Dems are saying, look at the terrible Republicans, and Republicans are saying, look at the terrible Democrats. Where's the solution? And we should be pushing that, and that should be getting the attention. So let's talk more about this later in another episode. How do we fix it? And I want to hear that from
yeah,
those that are supposedly, serving us. I want the solutions. And if they don't know, go out and find it. If you're listening to this, Tim will gladly explain some of the solutions.
and
He's
we
got
should,
great ideas on things we could easily do.
and we should. Everybody should have health care, and if we did that, it would be much less expensive for America in terms of how we need to treat sick people. And in order to get everybody to have healthcare has to be, to make it more accessible, it has to be cheaper. And right now, there's so much money that goes to real waste, which is normally money going to private corporations, such as pharmacy benefit managers, which are the middlemen, make it impossible for you to get a medication because of the prior authorization and all of that, which is, rewarding uh, doctors and hospitals and other places by allowing and keep getting them paid after they made you sick, right? Gave you a drug or did something wrong to you. Now you need more care because they made you sicker, and maybe they messed up again and they made you sicker, or like, I gave you a medication and I made you sicker from it. I get to get paid because I get to treat the sickness I just gave you. Like, this doesn't make sense. This
Right.
is not sensible. Let's reward people for giving good care, for trying to find innovative ways to make it easier to be healthy.
And we talked about this on a previous Dr. Tim episode. It was either episode 2 or 3. So you can find us on our YouTube channel, Project Next Movement, or just type in Project Next, go to playlist, click on Dr. Tim, and scroll through and find the shows that were about Medicaid. We've done a few of them, but the first one was on it. Tim explains how do we fix this mess, and we will talk about it again. We're going to end the show now, but we will talk more about this issue. Don't worry. I'm so thankful that I am friends with you, Tim, and that you talk to me about it so I can ask my questions, because this is a scary time. But we're in this together. We're going to keep fighting. You're running for Congress, thankfully. I'm running for state house, and we're trying to unite Indiana, unite our communities, unite the country so that we can work together, so that we can compromise and actually make this country better for all of us. So please, please follow us. If you're listening to us, this episode might be on the radio. We're going to start working on that. So that's exciting. You can follow us at our own but on our own social media stuff. So wherever you watch your content, look up Project Next. We're on Facebook and YouTube and Instagram and TikTok. And then we have a Substack, Project Next Indiana, if you would like to get emails about our shows. And then you can also listen to these as podcasts. So you can see our faces or you can just listen. It is your choice. You can just follow us wherever you get your podcasts. And let's do this. Yeah. So Project Next, it's about community. Thank you, everybody. Tim,
Thanks, Sarah. Thank you
it was
so much. Yeah, let's heal the division, the hate, stop the spin. Uh, there's so many things that we can work on to fix. Why are we, spending time trying to make it so that there's more problems where we hate one another? Let's just
yeah,
work together.
yeah.
Our ideologies may be different, but it doesn't mean we can't cooperate and represent the people that we're supposed to be representing.
Yes. Let's do it. Let's do it. You're not alone, everybody, and have a great day. And we'll be back soon, right, Tim? We'll be back soon. So don't worry. Um, find your people and work towards solutions instead of just fighting. Bye,
All right. Bye,
everybody.
everybody.